Good evening and welcome to this installment of the Sportsden Live. My name is Dominic Papa. We're coming to you from the we-tv.ca studio in Windsor, Ontario. Glad to have you along for the ride this evening to talk some sports here. Before we get into our panel, of course, as I do each and every week, I want to give a couple of shout-outs. First to the playoffs at the Junior C level. The Essex 73 is the first team to advance. They win their first round series 4 straight games. Congratulations to Gil Langlois and the gang, and we will wait and see who advances amongst the other 3 series. I also want to give a shout out to the Lancer hockey programs. Of course, Kevin Hamlin with the men, Jim Hunter with the women, both those teams into the playoffs. Kevin Hamlin, of course, and the Lancers, the All-Ontario defending champions. They begin tomorrow night against Brock. Good luck to them. Also, congratulations to Spencer Pommels of the men's hockey team, winning the CIS scoring championship. That's all of Canada, folks. His 50 points, the best in all of the nation, so a great job there. Also, Bradford, the defenseman, the leading point scorer among defensemen, and Dylan Denemy, the first-year player of the Lancers, finishes among the top scorers among first-year players. So a great year for the Lancers hockey team. Hopefully that will continue into the postseason. On this edition of the Sports Den, our topics are, we're going to talk a lot of Detroit sports today. We're going to talk about Ndamukong Suh, his contract situation with the Detroit Lions. Will the Lions put the franchise tag on him, or will they just get him signed, or is he gone? We'll let the panel discuss that. Mike Babcock also has to get a contract signed behind the Detroit Red Wing bench. Will he be gone, or will he return? And speaking of the Red Wings, are they for real? Do they have enough to win the playoffs this year? This team playing very well during the regular season, but some people feel that maybe not enough sandpaper with this team to get through the NHL playoffs. We'll let the panel comment on that. I want to plug some upcoming events here on We-TV that's coming up this week. On Friday evening, we'll be at the Windsor Family Credit Union Center. There you can see the game against the London Lightning. Tip-off time is 7 p.m. Mark Knight will be your host on this night. Brett Hedges and Mitch Kobe-K with the call. Go ahead, Christina, give us the next event, St. Clair College basketball action this Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. The women and men taking on the Niagara College Knights. We'll have all the action for you live right here on We-TV. And then, of course, the OCAA Men's Volleyball Championships are going to take place from February 27th to March 1st. All at the St. Clair College Sportsplex, a great event to be part of. WeTV will have all of the games for you live throughout that tournament. Hope you can join us for that. But if you can't, get down to the Sportsplex and watch some great Ontario college volleyball. If you want to get involved with the show here this evening, if you want to tweet in, we will invite you to participate in the discussion. There you can see our contact is at Sportsden Live. We'll try to read some of the tweets that do come in, or if you have a question or if you want to comment on one of the panel's comments, we'll do that for you as well. Let's get to our panel right now. He's a hard-working sports writer for the Windsor Square website. He's been around the sports team for quite a while now, and he's still doing a great job for everybody involved in sports anyways in our community. Ian Shalapata is with us. Welcome to the show, Ian.
Thanks for having me, Dom.
Busy year for you?
It's quite a bit busy. The Square is doing its normal thing. We're also in the middle of a massive expansion for the sports side of things. So
yeah, that just came about, didn't it?
Yeah, within the last month or so.
Now, what's the reasoning behind it? Is it because Windsor's just so full of sports?
Well, that's part of the reason.
Yeah.
We want to make or get a bigger footprint into the community, and sports is one of the best ways of doing that.
Yeah, sports is big in our community, that's for sure. You do a great job with it. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
Okay. Also on the show with us, a visitor from the American side of the border. She's a great sports writer over there. She's been writing for a long time, for as long as I could remember. She's a freelance writer now. She also does some work in the golf community over there. Very knowledgeable sports person, and she knows her Detroit sports, so she's going to be very good for us here tonight. Susan Smiley joins us. Welcome to the show, Susan.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
And you're just doing a lot of things still. You've been writing for how long now?
Boy, for longer than I'd like to say, more than 30 years.
Yeah, and you've covered pretty much all the major teams there, correct?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
baseball, hockey, football.
Yeah, and I know the Red Wings were really, one time, really big with you, correct?
Very big, and I covered the Lions for a long time, too, before they were good, sort of. Are they good? Can we say that? I'm not even sure.
Good. Well, they're good. They're better. They're better, we'll say that. Was there any one athlete that kind of was a favorite of yours?
You know, I would say that I'm a big fan of Doug Fister.
Oh, okay.
Sorry that he's not wearing the Old English D anymore, but he was great to work with. And
Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about him, and boy, he's got a pretty good pitching staff to work with now.
Sure does.
Amongst the other Mr. Max Scherzer, So good stuff. What's keeping you busy now? Golf.
Right, golf and a lot of high school wrestling. It's the season for playoffs for that.
Okay, good stuff. So appreciate you making the time to come over with us. Thanks for joining us. Also on the show, we mentioned the St. Clair College events that are coming up here on WeTV, the volleyball championships. The gentleman that is the athletic coordinator for that group and that area of sports at St. Clair is also on the show with us. Extremely hardworking man, former Bell River Canadian superstar defenseman. I remember him in his playing days. Jay Schufelt is with us. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Thanks for having me, Dom.
Remember those days?
I do. It's been a few years, but it's nice to reminisce about it every now and then. But it's been a long time, but we had a lot of great years out there, and obviously played with under Kevin Hamlin when I was there. So.
That tells you how long Kevin Hamlin's been coaching, right?
Yeah, very good coach, and he's still doing a great job.
Yeah, he sure is. I don't know if not everybody's had a chance to get to that Sportsplex yet. What a great facility, a beautiful facility. How much fun are you having along with Christy and Ted working in that facility?
It's an unbelievable facility. We call it a game changer for our campus, and not just for our varsity athletes, but just the student body. You can go there any time of day, any time of night, and it's packed with students doing different things there. From a varsity perspective, it's made a huge difference for the feel of things on our campus. We're hosting tons of events. It's probably one of the top facilities in Ontario, if not Canada, for college and university sports, so it's great. Yeah,
it is amazing, and I got to think the athletes just love playing in that environment, in the dressing rooms, the offices, everything. It's high end, it's top end.
It is. Everything we did in there is high end, and it's nice when the athletes, and the really neat thing is when other teams come in to play us, everyone wants to see it, and we give them a tour, and you can tell they're sending us emails after, they're tweeting about our facility during games. Because it's so nice, and we're getting a lot of positive comments on it.
Speaking of events, we just mentioned the OCA Men's Volleyball Championships starting on February 27th. Let's get that out there quickly to our viewers, Jay. Tickets, things like that, and what are you expecting with all of that?
It's our first major college event that we've hosted in the Sportsplex. It's basically the top 8 men's volleyball teams in Ontario coming down from February 27th to March 1st. Our first game is Friday night at 8 o'clock. We're hoping to pack the place. With the event winding up on the Sunday at 5:30 with the gold medal game. We think our team's got a pretty good chance to be there. We're right in the thick of things. All the information's on our website, saintsathletics.ca. Tickets, you can find ticket information on there. It's going to be a great event, and we want to showcase Windsor. We want to showcase the Sportsplex. And like I say, it's going to be kind of neat because our team's right there with all the other teams in Ontario. And also the top 2 teams get to go to nationals this year, which is kind of neat. So basically, we only have to win our first 2 games, and we're going to nationals too. So it's going to be really exciting. We want to make it a neat event. Obviously, like you said, WeTV's covering all 12 games. We'd love you to come down and watch, but if you can't, watch it on WeTV, as you guys do a great job.
Yeah, appreciate that. And certainly, again, I can't wait for this tournament to start. A lot of people may not realize at the college level, a lot of these players are actually, or have been, or are still involved with the national program. So it tells you what type of caliber of volleyball we're going to see.
There's some amazing volleyball, and it's intense, hard-paced. And men's volleyball and volleyball in general, I think, kind of doesn't get the recognition it deserves. So this will be a great chance for people in Windsor, Essex to come down and see how good this volleyball is. Okay, well, we're looking forward to it. Thanks for coming in, Jay. We got to get into our discussion now. I want to talk about the Detroit Lions and Domicong Sue because the deadline's coming. It's just around the corner. There's rumors that the franchise tag is going to be put on him. There's rumors that he's basically told the Lions he will not return. What's the panel hearing and what's the panel thinking here? Is Domicong Sue going to be a Detroit Lion next fall?
I think that because he's such a key player, there's a whole myriad of different issues surrounding him. Now, it's just not a matter of he's the best D in the league, so you got to sign him, right? What does he bring to the team? He's played 78 games in the last 5 years, but the games he's missed, he's been suspended. Right, so he's an Iron Man, but you can't always rely on him to be there. So, and then the cap hit, $25 million. If you're going to declare him the franchise, that's going to reduce what you can spend on other players.
And I think the Lions need other players. I see it as a situation where they could spend that money more wisely on more than one player than giving it all to Sue, who I don't think even wants to be here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the sentiment that's out there, that he doesn't really want to be in Detroit. What do you think, Jake?
It's kind of neat. Like I go to a lot of Lions games, and the place when he's on the field, the place is yelling his name. The thing that scares me about him, and I obviously don't know, but is in the dressing room and what kind of impact he has on the team in the dressing room. He's obviously a great player. Everyone can see that. But I remember watching that game when it was the playoff game when he got almost suspended and they appealed it. It was like basically, what are you doing? Like it's almost like he's thinking about himself first.
Kind of on his own page.
Yeah, he's on his own page. But then it's confusing because then he had that press conference after they lost, and he was almost crying because of
Pretty emotional.
Yeah, he was pretty emotional, and I've never seen that from him. He's always been, very, doesn't really say much in press conferences, very quiet. I love him. I hope he comes back, but if I had to bet money on it, I don't think he will.
Okay.
Just from what I heard something today about his house is for sale, and who knows.
The rumor is that he wants to go to the Seahawks, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, Seattle's his hometown, and obviously they're a pretty good team. They're Super Bowl contenders, and not a bad place to be. That defense is already pretty damn good. They were the number 1 defense. The Lions were number 2 defense. So, if you're the Lions, do you put the franchise tag on this guy? Okay, go ahead, Ian.
No,
Take it.
no, you do not. $25 million, like Susan was saying, the Lions are about 2 or 3 players away from being able to go another couple of levels up, and take that sort of cap hit. You're not going to be able to afford the other players, especially now. Sue is 28 years old. Calvin Johnson's older, and so is Matthew Stafford. So how long are they going to be around for? So you can't take that hit and then not be able to afford more players down the road.
Especially, I think this year, too, you could see that Calvin Johnson is aging. There were moments when he was not the same old Megatron.
Yeah, and in fact, Stafford's stats are better when he didn't go to Johnson in the game than when he did.
Yeah, and the other thing I really noticed about Sue, and I think the big thing, you mentioned it, they can probably get 3 quality players, and he's good, but I just don't know if he's that important in the big picture of things. And then I know he'll be the top defensive, I think, player ever if he signs, what they're saying he's going to sign for. So I think it'll be interesting, but yeah, I definitely wouldn't franchise him based on what I've seen and heard.
Okay. I think you made a good point, though, Jay. You talked about maybe his presence in the dressing room. Obviously, if he does move on, they have to replace him. Do they go with a free agent? Do they draft a young player? How do you rectify that right away? And what do you think they're missing? What other elements are they missing to get over the hump, I guess?
I think defense, obviously their offense, I think is, on paper, is great. This year they didn't do so great, but they won a lot of games. But I think, assuming he does leave, I think they definitely have to replace him with some, defensive linemen. But they're leadership-wise, again, I don't. He's kind of a hard guy to get a read on of what he does in the dressing room. I don't know if he's good for the dressing room or bad. But again, if I was the Lions, you'd probably draft someone to replace him, and you got enough money to sign 2 or 3 good free agents, probably.
All right.
I think that the Lions still need some help on the offensive line. And I hate to say this, and I know this is not going to change, but I am not a fan of Matt Stafford. I don't like what I see.
I agree with you, too.
He
I
makes,
agree.
there's
he
some
makes
people
some poor decisions sometimes.
Yep. Yeah,
With that said, I mean, the problem for Stafford, he's got a big contract. They're paying him a lot of
Exactly.
money. So they have to live with this guy. They've put themselves in a corner there, I think. Fair to say that?
Agreed.
Yeah. Plus the quarterback class for the next draft or 2 isn't going to be like it was when Stafford was coming in. You had 10 good quarterbacks who could step right into if not a starting role, then a high secondary role for any NFL team, and you don't have that coming up the pipe.
What I guess, okay, so let's say Sue moves on. The Lions don't have that marquee guy on the defense. They still have Calvin Johnson. They still have Stafford. Is this team, again, a playoff team then? I mean, are they going to go through a step back here in order to, are they going to have to take a step back in order to go 2 steps forward maybe in a year or 2?
I don't think so, honestly. Like, their defense this year was one of the top-ranked defenses all year. Sue helps that, but I think, again, with that money they lose, or they lose Sue, but they have that money to spend. I think they can spend it on, like you say, a couple defensive players. Like, I agree with you about the offensive line because there were some issues there. But I don't see it being a huge step back. it's not like they're going to go from, playoffs to last or anything like that, or the 0-16 year they had a few years ago. I think they'll be right there.
I do too, and I think a player that came up big this year was a little bit of a surprise was Joik Bell.
Yeah, well, he was a pleasant surprise for sure, and certainly he helped fill a void, especially with Bush and his injury problems, and that's another area I think they do have to address. Marshawn Lynch said he didn't want to go back to Seattle. Maybe, would he wear a Lions uniform, do you think?
There's straight up Sue for Lynch. There you go.
I like the way
There
you're
you go.
thinking. That's good.
All right.
I don't know how that'll work out in the dressing room, but
Oh, wow. Susan, you have a fan in Michael Patrick. The Lions should draft defensive tackle Travis Ricidi from San Jose State. He has a huge motor and never takes a play off. So good call, Michael. We appreciate you tweeting in. We're going to take a time out here on the Sports Center. When we come back, we're going to talk about another contract that has to get signed in Detroit. That's the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings, Mike Babcock. We'll talk about that right here on the Sports Den.
Hi, I'm Joe Quenneville, coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, and a proud graduate of FJ Brennan High. I can remember fondly my 5 great years at Brennan. It seems like just yesterday that we're there. A lot of great life lessons that I learned along the way, particularly from my teachers in the Catholic program. Want to wish everybody there good luck, and look forward to being a proud graduate and being a proud Cardinal going on here in Chicago.
Adding new products or services to your brochure? Updating those drab business cards? Or looking to create a striking window display? In need of some screen-printed signs for that construction site or promotional campaign? Posters, vehicle wraps, and a whole lot more. At Angel Star Digital, our expert design and production team are ready to meet all your promotional needs. For samples of our work, check out our website at www.angelstardigital.com. Or you can call us at 519-969-0712. That's 519-969-0712.
Hi, I'm Ed Jovanovski. Watch us on WeTV. We got you covered.
Welcome back to the Sports Den Live. Thanks for sticking around before we get back to our discussion and our panel. Just want a quick reminder of what's coming up here on WeTV. On Friday evening, we'll be at the Windsor Family Credit Union Center. We'll be checking in with the Windsor Express semi-pro basketball team. They'll be taking on the London Lightning. 7 o'clock is tip time. You can watch all of that right here on we-tv.ca. We'll be at the St. Clair College Sportsplex on Sunday afternoon. Doubleheader there. The women tip off at 1 p.m. The men take action at 3 p.m. The Niagara College Knights in town to provide the opposition against St. Clair College. And don't forget, in a couple of weeks, the OCAA Men's Volleyball Championships being held at the St. Clair College Sportsplex. WeTV will have all the action for you live, but don't just watch it there. Get down to the Sportsplex. Let's pack the place and let's have a lot of fun with this event. It's going to be a great weekend of volleyball action. Ian Chalapatas here from the Windsor Square Sports, windsor-square.ca Sports Department. Susan Smiley, a freelance writer from the beautiful state of Michigan, and also Jay Schufelt, the athletic coordinator of St. Clair College, joining us on the show. At the break, Mike Babcock. We talked about Sue's contract. Well, another contract that people are hoping gets signed is that of head coach Mike Babcock of the Detroit Red Wings. Okay, straight question, guys. Is he going to be back as the head coach of the Red Wings next fall?
Well, I'll chime in first, and I'll be honest right off the bat.
You can lie to us if you want.
I'm a Leaf fan.
Oh, here we go.
So
I knew that was going to.
My opinion might be a little
biased
on this one, but I know the big rumor going around is that he's going to the Leafs. I would love that.
Why would anybody want to go to the Leafs right
That's
now?
my question.
Even though I'm a Leaf fan, I don't know why he would go there. Yeah, I'd love it.
The players don't even want to be there.
Exactly. So I'd love him to go there. Do I think he would? No. The Red Wings are a great program, great team, great farm system. They're good every year. I don't know why he'd leave, and I don't think he's, the rumors he's holding out for more money. I've heard he could get $5 million a year, be the highest coach ever in the NHL.
Yeah.
But
well, he is. Whoever does sign him will have to make him the highest paid coach. I don't think that's even going to be an argument.
Yeah. So again, deep down, I hope he goes somewhere else, in particular Toronto. But I honestly don't think it'll happen. He's just. I don't know why you'd leave the situation he's in to go there and deal with well, again, I'm a
Agreed.
fan. A fan.
That's a situation he knows that Illich is going to get him the players that he needs. My gut feeling is that he will stay, and if he goes somewhere, it won't be to the Leafs, I don't think.
Okay.
I think he stays. I think he enjoys himself in Detroit, and that's the program he knows. But he hasn't been out of his element with Team Canada, 2 Olympics, and he's a Stanley Cup winner. He can take his program to any team he wants. So I think he stays, but I think the offers will come in.
Yeah, the other big thing that I think a lot of people aren't talking about that might make him stay or help him stay is the new arena. Because if there's one,
Yeah,
if there's one thing that I think is a negative for the Red Wings, it's the rink. And you always, you go to Joe Louis, it's a neat atmosphere, but with this new rink that's coming in a couple of years, that again, it's kind of like our sportsplex. It changes a lot, and it's going to help. Because I know one thing that the Red Wings have struggled with in the last 2-3 years is getting free agents.
Yeah. And you have to wonder though if that's not necessarily because of the rink, Jay. Detroit. Let's face it, it's gone through a tough time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Bankruptcy, things like that, and I think maybe some of that has scared off some of the free agents.
Oh yeah, I think that's part of it for sure. Yeah.
I really believe that because the hockey team itself, players love it there. I mean, look how many players have stuck around after their careers. Draper, Maltby, Chelios is still around helping the team. All of those guys have stuck around. So obviously the Red Wing organization is doing something right in that capacity. Interesting that the three of you haven't mentioned the fact that the Red Wings, you talk about Babcock, and I do think one reason why he will stay is they've gone through the transition. They've let the older players move on. They've brought in some of the young guys. They've lived with the growing pains, and now you look at them, they look like a pretty damn good hockey team right now. And I think Mike Babcock, my feeling is that Mike Babcock may stay just to see that through, to see if he can get that team to a Stanley Cup. That's why I think he may really consider staying. He will get offers, no doubt about it. And maybe Toronto will come at him, maybe Edmonton will come at him. I don't know if any of that will be attractive to him.
I think it's an exciting place to be for a coach right now in Detroit because they have a lot of young players who are really coming into their own. And I think it's a good time to be the coach of the Detroit Red Wings.
They've gotten over that hump, of that transition of getting some young blood in there. And the older guys, the Cronwells and that, they're not the guys being heavily relied on now. It's the younger guys, the Tatars and the Nyquists and Glendening, players like that. So they've got that all in place now. Now it's just see where can they go with these guys and how much tweaking will they do.
And he might sign he doesn't have to sign a 8-year contract either. He might, like you say, Dom, he might be interested. We got a good young team. There's a couple older guys, but Datsuk is still one of the best players in the world.
He's effective.
Zetterberg, they got some neat stuff going on in goal right now with Mrazek, but I think he could sign a shorter-term deal. And I'm sure the Red Wings don't want that, but if they want him bad enough, they probably will take a short-term deal.
Go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, I think the whole farm system in Grand Rapids is down to Babcock as well, because I forget his name right now. The coach down there used to be an assistant with Babcock, so he's learned the program and he's been able to guide the players through into Babcock's system, right? So I think that plays into it as well.
Will money be the issue here?
I think it's part of the issue because arguably Mike Babcock's probably one of the top coaches in the world for hockey, and I think he knows that, and a lot of people know that. But I don't think it's all about money for him. He probably wants to be the highest paid coach in the NHL.
He doesn't come across as an ego-driven guy, though.
No, he doesn't. But he might not come across that way. But I think he still wants to be that. He's a winner, and he's won everywhere he's gone. And I think it's important for him to be that probably the highest paid guy in the NHL. And I think he'll get it still.
I do too. The Wings seem to have a way of getting those contracts done one way or another, even though it may drag out and you hear rumors and it's not happening and it is, and then boom.
And the good thing about paying coaches is there's no salary cap.
Well, that's it. I mean, they're management, so they can pay them.
And the Illiches tend to have a lot of money, and they.
Well, it's one of the wealthier NHL teams, franchises for sure, and much like Toronto. So I mean.
Not that money always wins, right?
Just ask Toronto. What makes him a great coach?
What makes him a great coach?
What makes Mike Babcock a great coach?
Knowledge and being able to impart that knowledge. Plus, it also goes down to leadership as well. You talk about your captain of the team and how they're a leader amongst the players, but the coach is right there daily with the players, and they have to buy into his program. And you can't do that if you're an authoritarian or a micromanager or whatnot. So leadership plays a big role in that too.
And I think one of the things I've noticed about him, he's a no-nonsense guy.
Pretty straight shooter.
You know, and I really noticed it a lot in the HBO 24/7 last year leading up to the Winter Classic, because being a former coach, player, I really like watching that stuff and see. But I think he's the type of guy, you don't get to see a lot of his personality to the media and stuff. A lot of it's what he does in the dressing room. He doesn't want the public to know what he says and does. But like you say, his knowledge, I think he's a great motivator. You know, when they interview him, you hear a lot of cliches and stuff out of him. But again, that's fine. That's to the media. What he says in the dressing room, he's got a pretty tight grip on those guys and what they do in there, I think.
I feel too that he does a good job of making the most out of what he has. You think about the Wings last year, how many injuries they had, and still they kept the playoff streak alive. I don't believe that every coach would have been able to do that. And
He
just
did a
know how to
masterful
fit
job.
those
I agree.
players together the right way, the right chemistry.
He did an amazing job last year. I agree with you on that. They use cliches in sports? I've never heard that.
Not in hockey.
No, never in any sport. Speaking of the Red Wings, you know, great year so far, great campaign. Team looks like they're going to finish very high in the standings unless something really happens in the last couple of months here. Is this team the real deal this year? Is this the team that NHL prognosticators need to take serious now?
I think yes.
I really think they do. You look at that team top to bottom. Obviously, we just put the coaching right on down to the goaltending. They've got depth. You know, the one thing that scares me a little bit is their defense. I think they don't have a big go-to guy, power play quarterback. You know, Cronwall might be the guy, but that's the only thing that worries me. Forwards, they're great. They got character guys like Glendening. Abdul Kader, I love guys like that, you know, kind of like the grind line kind of. So they've got a lot of pieces there, and I've heard things about, they're not tough, but you know what, the NHL's changed a lot in the last 10 years. So, I think based on what I've seen, they play tough. They're not going to fight very often, but you got the odd, it happens now and then.
Okay.
I think the teams are the real deal because they have gone through the injury problems. And it's been the no-names have come up to do it for them. Take a look at Mrazek. Howard's been out. Mrazek goes 9-1.
Very good.
All right. And then they had Helm and Datsuk off last year. They're back. And look, Tatar. He's outperforming himself from last year. So it's the lower key players who have stepped forward to do it for Detroit. And when you can get that going for you, you've got a winner.
And it's not just the young players who add a lot to the speed of the team, which I think has been a rip on the Red Wings in the past when we had some older players, but even somebody like Kyle Quincy, who the Wings signed him, fans were thinking, what the heck with that? He's been playing very well and really adding something to the team.
I got a minute left. The only thing I'll say about all of this, and what does scare me a little bit about the Wings, you look at the last 3 or 4 Stanley Cup winners, the LAs, the Blackhawks, the Bruins. They've all been really hard-nosed teams. It's not so much skill that won them those cups. It was the sandpaper in the lineup, the Marchand on Boston, the Brown on LA. Guys like that, Taves on Chicago. Those guys are tough sandpaper-type players that really bring a different element. And as you know, the playoffs become a different game.
Yep.
Okay? So I think this is where I find concern with the Red Wings. Quickly, I've got less than a minute. Should they make a trade at the deadline to do something with their lineup?
No.
No? Okay.
No, and I feel that they have players who can step into that gritty role when necessary.
Okay.
The only thing, like I mentioned before, and it would be hard to do, would be get a top-end power play quarterback. That's, but other than that, I like the roster.
All right. Good stuff. Ian, Susan, Jay, thanks for coming in today. Great job. Really appreciate it. Hope we get to do this again somewhere down the road. And keep up the great work with everything that you guys are doing, okay? That's it for this edition of the Sports Den Live. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back again next Tuesday, same time. We'll do it up once again. We'll talk some sports with you right here on the Sports Den. Until then, this is Dominic Papa wishing you a great night. Take care, everybody.
Yeah.
So